Hi there, welcome to Healing Temple Mew channel. What is channeling? Firstly, I'm going to define what I mean by channeling. Next, I'm going to describe the three ways of channeling, and going to actually briefly talk about my own experience of channeling. That is channeling Mew healing energy and the information of Mew. And I'm just going to briefly suggest a couple of things that you can do to ensure that the information that you get is trustworthy. So, what do I mean by channeling? It's the receiving of information from a divine or metaphysical or extra-dimensional, non-physical source, even extraterrestrial, sometimes if you're very lucky, and or unlucky, as some people might say. Anyway, the point is that the source of information is other than yourself. But that's a moot point as well, because it can be outside of yourself or sourced at a part of yourself which you didn't know you had, a subconscious source or a spiritual self, something like that. And that's important. We'll come on to that a bit later. Well, there are three ways of channeling. The first is what they call automatic writing. You just sit down and with your pen and piece of paper and you just start writing, and whatever is supposed to come through you gets written down on the paper. Secondly, you can have an auditory experience. You can hear voices, people telling you things, entities explaining things to you, sometimes very clear, very persistent voices, and articulate and persuasive. Thirdly, you can have a visual experience. Either you have a waking vision, or you have a very, very lucid dream in full color, in which an entity appears to you and tells you, gives you information. Now the question arises, can you trust the information that you get through channeling? And the answer is, I think it depends how you look at it. If you look at the phenomenon in a sort of external sort of way, the information comes to you from an external source, then I guess you have to test out the external source. You have to test the spirits to see if they are legitimate and they are telling you the truth. And the wind has risen in response to that. And in Western magical tradition, there's a whole set of procedures for testing the spirits. But of course, are the tests themselves reliable? The other way of looking at it is that it comes from yourself, and basically there are two versions of the self. There's a psychological self and there's a spiritual self, and you want to make sure that the information that you get comes to you from the spiritual part of yourself rather than the psychological part of yourself, because if it's from the psychological part of yourself, it will all be coloured with your own psychology, your own hidden desires and needs and hang-ups and complexes, and that would make the information quite unreliable. I mean, okay for your own psychoanalysis maybe, but if you're going to have this if you're going to apply it to other people and going to use information to help you to relate to the outside world, then perhaps you'd be better off looking ironically enough, at the spiritual part of yourself to access rather more reliable information. I guess it's really, you've got to learn to distinguish between the two, and you've got to learn discernment, which takes years of experience. I think that the type of information that I get from you, I do trust it. For a start, it's evolved over many years. I got my first Mu symbol or sigil about 30 years ago. I didn't know what it was, and it just stuck in my mind. So that's my experience of channeling. I really don't have voices as such, and I don't really see visions. I tend to do just sitting down and writing it all out. Basically, a few little things that you can do to ensure the trustworthiness of your information. I think first and foremost, you should have the courage to write it down, unless it's already automatic writing, or make a video log of your experiences or dreams or whatever, so you can look back at them. And if they seem very crazy or very distorted or just really out of character, then I think you could discard them. It should come over a long period of time. I think, although having said that, I think it's an exponential growth. The information I received started very small amount, and then over the years it got a little bit bigger. And then, and this is another point that you need to bear in mind, I received initiation into another healing system, the Mount Sekhem healing system, and also Reiki too, of course. And then it was after that that suddenly, whoa, it went right up. One weekend I got most of the information that I have today, and that was 3 years ago, and I'm still getting dribs and drabs of information from that particular weekend. But it did follow an initiation, so I was already in a spiritual space, still accessing my spiritual self or the spiritual other, still in tune with other spiritual people. Environment was right, I was relaxed, I was happy, I felt liberated. So there were good conditions. So the conditions are quite important, intuitive thing as well, really, which again, if the conditions are right and you're feeling okay in yourself, you know, overall okay with yourself, then I think you can trust the information. So I hope this video has been of some use to you, and also just explain where I'm coming from anyway. So thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.